2.5 million jobs added over the past 2 months. That has got to be a record, and we are very, very encouraged. We're joined now by Ben Stein, economist, former presidential speechwriter. And when he was on this show a couple of months ago, he was understandably a little bit, well, not panicky, Ben, but you were very concerned. We all were. Did you ever think we'd see this kind of recovery?
I think this has been handled so brilliantly by the Secretary of the Treasury and the head of the Federal Reserve and President Trump above all. I don't think there is a comparable example in U.S. history, or maybe in any country's history, of a crisis in economics being handled so adroitly. They have done it brilliantly.
I still feel like we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, the numbers look great anecdotally. When I go around town, a lot of businesses are still closed, that kind of thing. You think we're going to be okay, though, long term? This is not, they're not playing with the numbers. This is the real deal.
Well, I think we're going to be okay long term, because I'm told by all my friends in the medical profession that they really are close to a vaccine and close to treatment. If not, I think we're going to get what's called herd immunity, and then we'll be all right from that. But in terms of what the government has done, yes, we'll be okay for the long run. Every mistake that the government made in the 1929 crash that led to the Great Depression, and every mistake that was made in the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, we have learned from them, and we've done the opposite. Mr. Mnuchin, Mr. Powell, Mr. Trump have really done their work. It's astonishing how well they've learned. They could not have improved upon what they've done. It is just brilliant. I mean, it is perfection.
Awesome. And you're giving us your opinion because you were not afraid to tell us how concerned you were. I guess it was back in late March, early April, and now we've seen this turnaround. Let's put up some graphics if we can. The leisure and hospitality industry, 2.5 million new jobs. Food services, 1.5 million. Retail, 740,000. And the negativity, though, is out there. I think sometimes they're hoping that things go poorly or that this is some sort of an illusion. Here's a little bit from Morning Joe, or as we call it, Morning Swamp.
There are still 37 million Americans who are either out of a job completely or want to work full-time and can't.
If we had a jobs report equal or better than the 5 million in June, in July, August, September, and October, we would still be 2 million jobs in the hole.
Well, all right. You heard the overall tone. One guy did say we still have 37 million Americans who are either out of a job completely or want to work full time but can't. Ben, your take.
My take is that we had a pandemic. We've never had a situation quite like that since the Spanish influenza of 1919. We've never had a situation where the crisis was so imminent and so frightening and so overwhelming and so broad, widespread. Considering all of that, the way the government handled it, guaranteeing that the banks would not fail, guaranteeing loans, buying up questionable loans, flooding the country with money, was the only course to take. Obviously, the pandemic will keep the hospitality industry underwater for a while, the food service industry for quite a while. That's just the nature of God's work among us humans. But considering what happened, considering the threat and the nature of the crisis, it was handled absolutely stupendously well. And there's nothing that Mr. Scarborough or anybody else could do to handle it better. There is no economist in America who could have predicted that we would have a recovery like the one we're having now. No one could have combed the history of economics in the United States and found anything better than what's been done by Mr. Trump since March, by Mr. Trump and his administration since March, and by Mr. Powell and by Secretary Mnuchin. Yeah. It's just breathtaking how well they learned the lessons of history.
And how frustrated are Democrats that this is actually happening? You're an economist, but you've also been in the political game. So I do sense that they're genuinely frustrated. They want to spin this, and they actually are not welcoming these positive numbers. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. Of course, the worse the economy is, the more they can try to blame it on Trump. But the interesting thing is, what can they say? How can they possibly blame the pandemic on Trump? How can they possibly blame the bank failures on Trump? There haven't been any bank failures. There haven't been any gigantic industrial or retail failures. There may well still be. But considering what hit this country, the recovery has been phenomenal. The Democrats can spin it any way they want, and I hope and pray that the electorate is paying attention. But Mr. Trump handled this perfectly. Nothing in history compares with it.
And I want to put up one more. The stock market gains tells a story from February of 2017, up 4.5%. And then, yeah, we're right back in there. June of 2020, up nearly 30%. Good stuff. Hey, Ben Stein, I always wanted to ask you, when you hosted that game show, Win Ben Stein's Money, it was really your money, right?
Well, they deducted it from my salary if I lost. It was a very, very tense situation.
It was so they deducted it from your salary. And what's the most they ever had to deduct from your salary?
Well, I think I never lost more than 2 shows in one day. We used to tape 3 or 4 shows in one day, and I don't think I ever lost more than 2 in one day. So it was, but believe me, I didn't like it, and no other game show host has ever had to do that.
That's amazing. A great concept, and it was very funny, and you're very smart, obviously. Ben Stein, economist.
God bless you.
You bet, you bet. Former speechwriter and former game show host. Thanks a lot. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, take care now.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest-growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to NewsmaxTV.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.